It did crash the stock market. It did crash the bond market. And Donald Trump retracted those because he had crashed the markets. That's not part of any plan. That's just a giant screw up, and he got nothing in return.
All right, so let's talk about what just happened on Piers Morgan Uncensored. Cenk Uygur went head-to-head with a MAGA panel that included Vinnie Oshana. Yeah, the same guy from the Patrick Bet-David show, along with Gordon Chang and Josh Rogin. It got pretty heated. We're going to break down some key clips, and I've got a few things to say about the nonsense that came up. Let's jump into it.
It seems to me the biggest problem right now for the administration is not the principle of leveling tariffs, which can be debated, or the overarching philosophy behind it, which is that America should be doing more manufacturing. I think most people agree with that. The real problem is the constant mixed messaging from the top people at the White House is causing, I think, real uncertainty and real damage, not least to Donald Trump's approval ratings on the economy.
Yeah, 100%. There's really no argument about it. I mean, the folks that are saying art of the deal are hilarious. So, and it can be proven very simply. So first, he does these global, massive nuclear tariffs. So as you know, Piers, on this show, I said they'll never last. They're maniacal. And I also said, as you're pointing out, that tariffs can be done right. They could be targeted and strategic based on industries or countries in specific. So then Donald Trump backpedals, and you can tell it's a backpedal and not some sort of art of the deal because he got absolutely nothing in return. So the 90-day pause was based on zero give back from any other country. It's because he had miraculously crashed the stock market and the bond market at the same time, which was previously held unimaginable because one is supposed to go up while the other one goes down, but he managed to do both. And now China tariffs is super strong. Okay, just exemptions for iPhones and electronics. Why? Because he hadn't thought it through. He hasn't thought through any of this. He's always doing this in a way that makes no sense at all. And by the way, if you like tariffs and you like the idea of rebuilding manufacturing in this country, Donald Trump just did massive damage to it. Because after this, who's going to want to do tariffs again? So there's absolutely no planning here. And then let's see how he negotiates, if he can negotiate with China at all. But it's done nothing but damage and gotten us no good return so far.
Okay, Gordon Chang, your response to that?
Well, yes, so far, but we're very early into this process. And yes, I don't like a lot of the turbulence and a lot of the backtracking, but we got to see how this turns out. Remember, with this 90-day pause, President Trump is going to be negotiating with a lot of countries. We're going to end up stitching trade deals with them, and we're going to leave China out in the cold. And China's never been there, or at least hasn't been there for decades. So I think this is a fascinating process. It has actually a possibility of working, and it's absolutely got to work. President Trump knows what he needs to do. Now, he may not do it in the way we like, but I think he's going to eventually get it done. So let's wait until the end of the process before making judgments about whether this works or not.
All right, Josh Rogin,
a disaster so far.
There are 90 days. Yeah, I mean, Josh, there are 90 days to negotiate with countries. According to people at the White House, they've already had a lot of countries get in touch to try and do new deals. Is it right to judge this now, or should we be a little bit more patient, notwithstanding the fairly reckless way that this has so far been rolled out?
Well, to be sure, Piers, there is a lot of truth to the fact that all of these countries are coming to make deals with the Trump administration. They were doing it before. They'll continue to do it. And I'm rooting for the United States, and I think most Americans are rooting for the Trump administration to succeed. But it's impossible to ignore the fact that trade deals take months, if not years, to negotiate, and negotiating 90 of them in 90 days is not only unprecedented, it's basically fantastical. And, you know, will they get 10? Will they get 20? Will they get 30? I hope they get as many as they can. But what is the cost of that turbulence? What is the benefit versus the price that we pay while we're subjecting our economy and all these other economies, by the way, all these economies around the world that are so dependent on us, to all of this suffering and pain while we, change our policy this way and that way? It just has to be weighed against the perceived benefits. So it's complex. And, I'm not saying that they won't succeed to some degree, but it's impossible to ignore the fact that the way that they're doing it is causing massive, massive damage, not just to our economy. And I agree with Gordon that, it's time to confront Chinese predatory and unfair trade practices across the board. But we get one shot at this. And I think isolating China is going to be really difficult, especially when China is increasing its relationship with all the countries around the world that we're also alienating at the same time. So, yeah, it's not impossible that he could succeed, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good because of the way it's gone so far. We have to be honest about that.
So here's what's wild. Trump's team was out here bragging that over 70 countries were lining up to make deals with them, and then suddenly that number dropped to just 10. So which is it? That sounds like either someone's lying or they're just throwing out random numbers to sound like they're winning. Meanwhile, China, they're already cutting deals with other countries while we're over here playing PR games. It's looking like we might be the ones getting left out in the cold.
Vinny, look, you're a massive Trumper. You were with him at the weekend at the UFC, and we'll come to that in Florida, where he got a roaring ovation. There's no doubt the country, as always with Trump, is split, where a lot of liberals are in complete, raging fury about him. And at the same time, in places like Florida, he can do no wrong. But I saw a poll on CNN this morning, which has actually been, the polling they've been doing on him has been quite positive until now. But the polling on do Americans trust Trump on the economy and do they blame him or Biden for the state of the economy right now, they've never been worse for Trump. So now the American people have moved from blaming Biden to now blaming Trump, and his own approval rating on the economy is plummeting pretty rapidly. Now, I know Trump well, as you do, and he won't like that. He won't like the fact that his economic polling is plummeting. So this has to work quite quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, Piers, I think, well, first of all, the just him walking into the UFC, like you said, we're going to get into, I've never seen anything like that. I mean, I saw Michael Jackson when I was a kid, and it was at that level, but we'll get into that. But Piers, here's my thing. Obviously, all we're going to hear is the fear-mongering from the other side. Everything from the past 8 years when he first came in, it was, we're going to go to war with Korea. He was a Russian asset. We're going to go to war. Everything is fear-mongering. Piers, the guy hasn't been in for 3 months. Everybody needs to just relax. Just like Gordon said, let it take time. And I have an analogy, Piers. Our country, like, what a heroin addict, when they finally stop doing the heroin and they put them in a room, they're detoxing, they're shaking, they're sweating, they're going through a bunch of, bodies are convulsing. That's what America's going through, Piers. We've been hooked on this freaking government, everybody walking all over us, every country taking advantage of us. It's going to hurt for a little while, Piers, but guess what? The tariffs are going to work. Stock market jumped 400 points today. Everybody needs to chill. And then, Piers, by the way, how many factories are reopening? Steel jobs are coming back to America. Japan pledged $1 trillion to come here. The UAE committed $1.4 trillion in 10 years. Saudi Arabia just lined up $600 billion, possibly hitting $1 trillion. It's not small talk. It's respect. And Chang said it's not the art of the deal. This is exactly what it is. He knows how to play this freaking game. Now he doesn't have all the Russia and all the crazy shit happening around him. Just give him some time. Let him cook. Everything's going to be okay. You'll see. Trust me.
All right, Cenk, trust Vinny.
Cheers. Yeah, no, I definitely don't. No offense, Vinny. So listen, what would have garnered trust is if he had done this in a rational way and said, here's the industries I'm protecting. Here's the countries I'm targeting. And I'm going reciprocal. If China's got 20%, we're going to put 20% on them and it's non-negotiable, right? Or we're going to negotiate it down to 0 so that we're got it fair for both sides. But to do 145%, I mean, you might as well do 1,000,000%. It doesn't make any sense. At that price, you can't sell any goods. So he's not thinking this through. He's doing this in a crazy way. And you guys are saying, hey, let's see how it plays out. It's only 3 months in. I get it, and that's fair. And there's a long way to go with 4 years. But what you can't say at the same time is that it's worked so far. It hasn't. It did crash the stock market. It did crash the bond market. And Donald Trump retracted those because he had crashed the markets. That's not part of any plan. That's just a giant screw up, and he got nothing in return. So you can say, hey, maybe he'll get better later, and that's always true, of course, right? But to say that he's cooking now, no, he's cooked, not cooking. And so far, he's done nothing but absolutely bungle it and got nothing in return.
But Chang, what do you expect in 3 months, brother? It's gonna take time, and it's gonna be ugly. China has owned our asses Chang, for how long? And the only thing I fear, Piers, the last time, because listen, at the end of the day, all these other countries they're gonna bend the knee. China is our actual threat. When people say they're our adversary, no, that's our enemy. Okay, Piers, it's freaking China. And the last time Trump tried to hold them accountable, and we had a trade war with China, a virus mysteriously leaked out of a lab that we not only opened, we funded, and the main guy behind the helm that this virus leaked from got a preemptive pardon, and his hands were washed, and he has no accountability. That's the only actual fear. Trump is the only one that is holding their freaking foot to the fire. And I'm sorry, Pierre. And Josh, you said at the beginning that I disagree when you said that people are hoping for the success. The majority of the people that I know on the left, Josh, hell no. They're like, no, they want it to fail. They want it to burn just so they could say it was Trump. It was Trump. We told you. That's not America, brother. We have the freaking president of the United States. He's the leader of the freaking free world. We have to back the guy. I'm not saying blindly back whatever the hell that he's doing. Check, I have some stuff that me and you agree on that he's doing that I don't agree with. But when it comes to this, bro, when it comes to China, that is the actual threat. They freaking, mind you, the past 4 years, they got away with everything. They were flying spy balloons, Piers. Nobody said shit, all right? They buy land at all of our military bases, nuclear missile bases in Malmstrom, Montana. Nobody says anything. They do whatever they want. And then when Xi comes to San Francisco, Newsom cleans the street, kisses his ass. It looked like freaking Beijing. All right? We finally got a guy that's holding their foot to the fire. Like I said, it's going to hurt. It's going to be a little turbulent. But, bro, the guy knows what he's doing. He's a freaking boss, and he's a businessman. He's going to be fine.
Look, Vinnie Oshana might have the energy, but he's not bringing any logic. All the yelling about China being the enemy and talking like this is a Marvel movie doesn't change the facts. You can say Trump is a boss all you want, but crashing markets, confusing policy moves, and conspiracy theories aren't exactly signs of great leadership. People want stability, not chaos disguised as strategy. And let's be real, no one on the left is rooting for economic collapse just to say, I told you so. People have retirement accounts. They want food prices down. They want peace of mind, not just good slogans. So yeah, there's still time for all of this to turn around, technically. But if things stay on this track, Trump might be handing the midterms to the Democrats without them having to try that hard. Now, do I have full faith they'll capitalize on it? Not really. But this mess of a rollout isn't helping Trump win people over. Anyway, I want to know what you think. Do you agree with Chang, with Vinnie, or are you somewhere in between? Drop it in the comments, hit that like if you're rocking with this breakdown, and don't forget to subscribe for more. Catch you in the next one.